Hello everybody and welcome to another great episode of Hillbilly Select Reviews, Tea Tuesday. Today I've got one of the biggest selling tea in the United States. Alright, what do we got here? What do we have here? Lipton. Alright, and the back it tells you, it gives a recommendation. 2.5 minutes of steep time. So that's what I did. This tea comes in bags. It's very convenient. It's probably the number one tea served in restaurants, especially when you order iced tea. They source most of their tea from the East African country of Kenya. They have, I don't know, maybe 12 farms there. It is the number one seller in the United States. It's a black tea. The label says America's favorite tea. I don't know if it's the favorite tea. It is the number one selling tea. They've done a great job advertising, and before really teas became a big thing here, it was the only thing in town for people who, Americans didn't drink a lot of tea until recently. And now, of course, there's so many teas and so many boutique teas and different methods of steeping your tea. But this is an old staple. Like I say, it's probably the number one tea. If you go to a restaurant and order tea, if you order iced tea, it's probably going to be Lipton. Lipton, it's got kind of, and I think black tea in general, but it's got almost a sweet taste. So when I say sweet taste, sweet for tea, sweet for unsweetened tea, if that makes sense. If you drink it, you're not going to taste sugar or anything, but if your palate's a little bit developed, you drink a lot of tea, it's going to be on the sweeter side of the spectrum. It's not an expensive tea, and therefore it's a great tea if you're making iced tea or sweet tea. You're going to be putting a lot of sugar, you're going to be diluting with a lot of water. No use, I guess, going too crazy with an expensive tea, because most of the flavors in tea are going to come out when it's steep, nice and hot. You're getting the vapors coming up, and that's how you're really going to taste it. Really opens up, and when you put it with the ice, it closes it, it dilutes it, and so this would be a good choice for that, especially if you're going to add a lot of sugar or any sugar to it at all. So it's got a sweet smell of typical black tea. It's an expensive tea. It's a mild, very mild, their brand of tea. There's not a lot of, once again, it's a Swedish, kind of a sweet taste to it. Very mild, not bitter. Like tea is the example I always use for tannin, that puckery taste you get with tea. This is low for a tea. So let's try it. And I know all of you have probably tried Lipton and drink it all the time. And, I always try my tea iced. I've been drinking Lipton tea since I was a little kid. This is what my parents used to buy. And like I say, it's what most restaurants have. They buy it in bulk. This tea comes in bulk. So I'm very familiar with it. It's the old standby. If you're not feeling well, you can put some lemon or some honey. And it's always Lipton that people make a lot of times. It's quick, it's easy, it's inexpensive, and it's soothing. It's your typical tea taste. Now, it's almost too mild for iced tea. What I would personally do, and I know it's what most teas are, people aren't used to, but I would make it a little stronger. I wouldn't necessarily steep it longer, because it's going to become bitter, but I would use more bags, a larger quantity of tea. So this was one bag per the amount of water. Steep for 2.5 minutes. I would use 2 bags if I was, because obviously you're getting a lot more water and stuff like that. You got to keep that in mind when you're making it iced. They actually sell tea with instructions for iced tea. For the extra water and the extra ice and so on and so forth. So, but of course you can use the regular just fine. You don't have to buy both bags. You could take a tea bag. I guess you can take any bag of tea and stick it in a bottle of water. And I think I don't know, 5 minutes or so. It'll seep out enough of just room temperature water, and you kind of have a little thing of tea there. So a little hack. But anyway, this is Lipton tea. Nothing special, certainly not bad. I gave you the qualities, I gave you the price. No tea review would be channel would be complete without throwing Lipton iced tea. It's the #1 selling tea, maybe in the world, certainly in the United States. No, I doubt the world, but in the United States. So, from Hillbilly Select Reviews, everybody, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Cheers.